Morning. How are you all this morning? I'm a little perplexed, to say the least. I am overwhelmed with the gratitude over my last review in regards to the HIK Micro Alpex Lite. I have had about 150 calls over the last couple of days asking my honest opinion, and quite a few people are going to buy it, even though I've highlighted some flaws with it. But for them, those flaws don't matter, that is the most important thing about the reviews that we do. In the end, when we do a review, we are doing it on our opinion. A little bit more expert opinion, maybe, because we've used more and more of these scopes and than many other people, so we kind of expect what to expect from a scope when we get it. We can easily see what the improvements are or what's not been improved, and if there's any flaws, if there's better out there, that sort of thing. And yeah, we got more of an educated guess on regards to what to expect from a scope when it comes to hit us in the market. Now, so when it comes to a day scope, I know what I need to shoot deer. Simple as that. I know what I need to do to shoot foxes, and I know what I need to shoot rabbits. I know what I need for the certain ranges that I'm shooting. I'm not an F-class shooter who's shooting out to 500-600 yards and wants pinhole groups. I'm not a PRS shooter. I've dabbled in it. I'm not saying that I'm an expert PRS shooter, because I'm not a pro PRS shooter. I've dabbled in it, but I'm not nowhere near an expert in that. In fact, if you actually look at what I'm an expert in, is digital night vision. A lot of people over the years have come to me and asked me my opinion on various products, including manufacturers. Now, I'm not going to pretend to understand that I know all the aspects of digital night vision and thermal, and I understand what a lot of it, what millikelvins mean and stuff like that, and I understand the sensors because I've got a background in computers as well, so I understand that side of things. But it's the usability where I over the years have kind of built a name, is using these in the field, using these in different conditions. Now, I'm going to give over a cup of tea in my front room, because I've got lack of studio space. So I've got no studio at the moment. I've got and we're in the middle of building things at the minute as well in regards to other stuff. I'm sitting in my front room, and I think this is a better atmosphere for me to sit and have an unfiltered talk about this, about the reviews, about stuff like that. Now, recently I've been reviewing this little gem, which is the HIK Micro Alpex 4K Lite, and for £650 it's a fantastic scope. Is it the best scope in the market? No, it's not the best scope in the market. Is it a game changer? No. For some people it might be. Some people's opinion might say, who have got limited experience on certain and using products in the field. Some people say it is a game changer. Price wise, it's part of a culture of game changing technology and game changing attributes to the night vision market. It is part of what is a game changer. But is the scope itself a game changer? No, far from it. And to be honest, I can be honest about this because I've got no affiliations with HIK. I do have certain affiliations with DNT. We'll talk about this product in a little bit. But there's a difference between my relationship with DNT and most other reviewers have with the relationships of the scopes that they sell in the market. And one of those things is, I'm not a salesman. I'm not here to sell you a scope. I'm here to tell you if the scope is any good for what you want to do with for what I want to do with it. Now, this is an air gun and rimfire scope, no doubt about it. That's what they market it as. That is what it's going to be. That's as simple as it. I'm going to stick it on the centre fire. That's why I'm taking it off today to put this on to do a little bit of testing. And as I said, I'll explain what this is in a minute. There's a lot of things I like about the scope. The 1 second startup time. It has its flaw though. If it's leaning against something, it will start up and you won't realise it. So if you throw it in the back of the truck going from field to field and you lie it down on the wrong side and it's pressing against, like for me, my binoculars, it did turn on and you realise that you've got no battery after a half an hour scanning the field. Or 40 minutes of battery is depleted because you've lifted it out. Now that's user error, that's user and storage error, that's not the actual scope that is the problem. It's just a flaw that we come across. And as a field tester and somebody that used stuff in the field, that's exactly what you should be reviewing. You should be reviewing the bits and bobs that niggle you when you're out in the field, that make your life a little bit easier or a little bit harder, you know? And that's what we should be reviewing. It's we're kind of a marketing tool, but many of these companies out there are don't use us as they use us completely as a marketing tool, and they start to dictate what the reviewer wants to say. Now, I personally have seen emails from certain company about to reviewers about their. I don't want to go too much into it because obviously it's not up to me to tell. I haven't had any of those emails because I don't get them. Like everybody who deals with me knows that I'll just tell them to go and take a run for it if they don't like what I say. Now, if a scope is, you might have noticed that there's a lot of scopes out there that people have mentioned, and I don't mention them too often because I don't mention them by name on my channel, because the fact is I have actually told the company that I refuse to, that I can't give it a decent review. I can't say it's even usable or comparable to those things that are on the market. There's too many flaws that it would actually be detrimental to the sales for me to do a review. I'm being honest, and I'll go, if you want me to do the review, I will do it, but just bearing in mind it will not be a great review. So I send them the scope back and they tell me, look, I don't want you to do that review. Now, that's fair enough, right? That is kind of them dictating the market a little bit. But at least I still have the opportunity, if somebody mentions the comment, like about One Leaf, for instance, I had a look at their product. I wasn't impressed by their product. And I said to them, I said, look, I don't think I can give this a great review in comparison to other things that are in the price range that I'm using at the moment. I can probably give them an honest review and say, does it work? Yes, it works. It does what it needs to do if you need to do it. Is it what the consumer is going to like? No, because they're going to immediately turn around and say that there's better on the market for the same price or cheaper. So that is where my struggle is with the likes of the big companies like Hikmicro, because they are technically capitalizing on their brand and not the product itself. And let me explain that a little bit more. For instance, let's take HIK, because it's in front of us. Look how many thermal products they have on the market, and look how many are very, very similar. You know, Falcons, Condors, Griffins. There's so many spotters on the market that they've got under the Hikmicro brand that sometimes the only difference is the base magnification. Now, if you've got a 2 times base magnification, yeah, that's going to be the best image you're going to get at 2 times. We know this. Every time that you go up to 4 times, you're doubling the pixelation, and the pixelation gets more and more spread. And then before you know it, you've lost image by the time you get to 8 to 10 or some of them 15 times. Now, base magnification is a big deal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not playing it down. It's like, but you pick a product that has, or maybe 2 or 3 products. You don't have like 5 different units, all with the same sensor in it. And the only difference is base mag or something in the menu, or the fact that they just overcomplicate it. They're overcomplicating it for you guys. You're getting 10 items put in front of you, all with the same name on them, and you're asking the retailer who's never used it in the field. Most retailers have never ever used any of the products they sell in the field. I know retailers who have never even been out shooting in their life. You know, that's the sad fact. We're not going to put them down. What I'm saying is that the guy behind the counter handing you a scope, or when you click that button on somebody's website, 9 times out of 10, they've never shot a fox in their life. They've never shot a deer in their life. They've never even seen an animal through a scope in their life. You know, there is a few out of them, and that's what kind of pulls them apart. You know, there's guys that are really seriously shooting. This is why I like Art McLeod's, because I know Gregor is a world of knowledge when it comes to scopes. Toby is learning a heck of a lot on the night vision and digital side, and they can have unbiased opinions because their affiliations are just retail affiliations. You know, they basically purchase independently. They don't stick with any individual brand. They're not being forced to buy minimum units other than, and then punt them for that company. You know, they are completely independent when it comes to that. So that's why I trust Art McLeod's, and that's why I do a lot of stuff. And the scope is from Art McLeod's. Let's talk about the fact that there's these reviewers out there who are basically, and in full honesty, the reason why I'm bumbling a little bit, because in my head I had lots of stuff to talk about, but I actually got interrupted halfway through the first take of this video, and now I'm wondering if I spoke about that or have I not spoke about that, because I'm in my front room, to be honest. I'm in my front room. Somebody's going to come wandering in at some point, and I'm going to have to cut the video and split it and whatever, right? But I've heard a lot of talk about this being a game changer. It's not a game changer. As I said before, it's a game-changing market at the minute because of how the digital night vision and thermal is working. But over a cup of tea between you and I, this scope here is not a game changer. Is this scope going to be a game changer? No, it's not going to be a game changer. You know, it's going to enhance the technology that we already have, and it's going to make life a little easier. It's not a game changer. Man, God, it's like, I wish people would stop using that word. And I have used it. Actually, to be fair, the one set of scopes that I have reviewed over the last few years, over many years, that I've thought that was actually a game changer is when the Thermite came out. That is a genuine game changer. That has done everything that I need in one scope. Everything. Literally everything. Everything that I could ask for. It does more than what I can ask for. Do I find myself using one part of the facility of that scope more than the other? Sometimes, yeah. And that's down to trust. That's not so much that's down to personal trust. That's not down to, and personal ethics too. That's not down to because the scope's not got the ability to do that. That's not the scope's ability. That's my ability in my head, in my psychological psyche, and my ethics on whether I should be shooting a deer in thermal without fully knowing what kind of deer, the condition, and all that sort of stuff. So that's, as a professional at the job that I do, I need to make a lot of decisions on the spot, and I tend to maybe jump towards night vision just to make sure what I'm shooting at is what I'm supposed to be shooting at. But genuinely, this time of year where antlers have been shed and spikers and knobbers and all that are all wandering about, and hinds are out of season and I can't shoot the hinds, I will use the digital more. In fact, I can't even shoot in the dark when it comes to deer at the minute. So an hour after sunset, and between the hours of hour after sunset and an hour before sunrise, there's nothing much I can do. Yeah, so is this a game changer in regards to, is it a game changing scope? No, it's the industry as a whole is changing the game, and this is sitting on the cusp of that scope bracket. It's sitting right on the edge. It's not even in where, like for instance, a lot of guys are saying, Hick Micro have done what we asked. This is what air gunners want. I know quite a lot of air gunners that don't like the scope, and they've had it. In fact, I know that one of those air gunners personally, and he had the same concerns as I did. And I'm not an air gunner. I use rimfire. Yeah, I use rimfire a lot. And I use centerfire mostly. So he came up with the same concerns as I did. And that makes me wonder, knowing what I know about the Chinese market. So hunting is illegal in China. So a lot of these scopes that come out of China, they don't get tested in China. They get factory tested for recoil, eye relief, all the digital stuff, all the tech geek stuff. All the stuff on paper that should work in the field. And this is why we come into a little bit of a battle when you bring it into the field and products don't necessarily work as good as what, say, the manufacturer has said. There's a reason for that. Because they just cannot simulate real world conditions. They can't simulate rain and fields and the different colours of fields and the different textures and movements of terrain, the different angles that you have to be at for stalking, the distances, the understanding the distances, the debris, the foliage, the cover, the whatever you want to call it, that gets in between you and a laser rangefinder, the size and position of a deer or a rabbit or a fox in the field in long grass, what it looks like. They can't simulate any of that without actually being out in the field. And I can almost guarantee you there will still be some, even if they could digitally and come here for a couple of weeks, looking at, and there'll be still stuff that I'm missing. There's no anti-fogging, for instance, in these scopes. There will never be anti-fogging in these scopes because the reason why is because it is, you can't purge them with nitrogen, you can't purge them with gas, because that would affect the screens and it would affect all the electrical components that are in the scope. So your coatings are slightly different from a day glass. Your various other things that are going on in this scope, on the difference between the day glass, different from day glass, I should say, is that you will still have environmental problems with these scopes. These scopes are useless in the fog, for instance. The digital side of things will work pretty good, and the digital day vision, but in night vision, it's just not going to work. You know, like night vision, digital night vision doesn't cope with heavy rain or heavy humidity, because you get a reflection. You've got to rely upon one of these, whether it's built into the scope or whether it's not. This is an IR torch. So if you can't see something with a torch with your eye and it's just all glaring back at you, you're going to get the same problem with the scope. So it's still not going to change the world on that side of things. And that's not just this scope, that's every digital night vision scope. Thermal can penetrate, depending on fog in many occasions, but it's still affected very heavily by atmospheric conditions such as rain, fog, mist, moisture in the air, heavy humidity. Is still affected by that. Heat, even too much heat can be a problem for the thermal, because it's finding it hard to differentiate between what is a hot rock and what's a deer. Been there many times with thermal over the years. So it has its flaws. So when the thermite side of things, that's why that is more of a game changer in digital technology and digital hunting technology. That's why that's more of a game changer when it comes to this industry, because it has all three. So all the failures of thermal you've got with the digital side of things, all the failures of the digital side of things you've got on the thermal side of things, got your built-in IR, laser rangefinder, all that. So that's what makes that particular unit a game changer in the night vision hunting or the night hunting industry. There's day scopes that people are saying, oh, well, yeah, but look at these, you've got laser rangefinders now. We can use our scopes now to shoot out to 150 yards, 200 yards, and they'll give us our bullet drops, or 300 yards, that'll give it our bullet drops. Yeah, it's fantastic. Great. Don't deny it. These rangefinders on these scopes, as I said, Pulsar scopes back in the day had rangefinders as well, some of them. the rangefinders and the bullet drop compensators, they are fantastic. However, there is day scopes coming out in the market, and they have been playing with it for a long time now, like the Burris Eliminators, the Swaro DSs, the various others. I said this in one of my previous videos. That's a game changer for the day vision side, because they are now putting bullet drop compensators, digital rangefinding inside it, so that you can have a laser rangefinder that is built into the scope. And they're being nitrous purged and whatever. But the new Burris XTR that is for competition. For competition now, they're literally putting all this digital stuff. When you dial the scope on that, basically it doesn't just tell you what your mils are or whatever on the turret. It literally tells you on the screen what your yardage is because of your setup. So instead of when you dial it and it goes on the HUD, the heads-up display, when you turn it, it actually says, "Oh, you're now turned your dial to 500 yards, 497 yards." You know, and I'm like, that's a game changer. That kind of thing is a game changer in the hunting world or in the shooting world. Whether you could hunt with that scope is another matter. That's a difference. Apparently the weight, I haven't looked at one. I can't really comment on it, but I've saw a lot of reviews on it. And they have pretty much designed it genuinely for the competition market. So anyway, I'm going to be removing this today from this rifle, and I'm going to stick it on a centre fire. I have to double check with Toby because the scope doesn't belong to me, because it was a pre-launch version of this. It was a demonstrator. I'm going to take this and put it on a centre fire and see if I can do it. That's going to hurt because the eye relief on this is around about 20 mil if you're lucky. So I'm going to try and be as careful as possible. Literally only going to do it because of the fact people have said, well, we could use it as a day scope for deer stalking. I'm not sure you can. I'm honestly not sure. So I'll see if it's going to be safe enough to do that. I'm risking a sore eye. So if in my next video I've got a black eye, you know the reason why. I have never had scope eye. I don't tend to start having one now. I've seen many of my clients get it and it looks bloody sore. I know a guy that's got a scar on his upper brow because his eye was a little bit too... And when I was watching him take the shot on the deer, I was like... I had to take a breath, and I never got a chance to tell him to stop before he took the shot. Anyway, that's another matter. And it was a Dutch guy, and yeah, he was... let's just say that was a fun morning. Anyway, yeah, so be honest, I'm going to say that this isn't a game changer. And one of the things, the reason why I don't think it's a game changer, because it is literally, there's not a lot it's doing different from what's on the market and what is cheaper on the market right now. I put it up against Zulus 312, which is not HD. Sorry, which is not 4K, it's just HD. And unfortunately, Zulus with the laser rangefinder, although the 3 to 12 did lack magnification, as you've seen in the videos, that did actually perform a little bit better than this in the field. People don't like the shape of the Zulus, but the eye release a little more, and it's a little bit more compact in shape. It's less of your traditional style scope. A lot of people like the traditional style scope. I understand that. I don't need to use a cheek riser for neither this scope, whether it's on low mounts or whether I've got the Zulus on its mount or whatever. It seems to have a similar position on the rifles as what... all of them have the similar position on the rifle, but that's all down to the mounting and how you feel with it. So I don't find myself lifting my cheek from the cheek riser, from the cheek weld to the scope, so I don't find a problem with that. And people have said, oh, but it looks bulky. It does. It's got a weird kind of shape to it, and for some people, but it's a lot more slimline than, say, the Thermite, which has got a lot more going on it. So it's not far off looking like a tube scope if you actually look at the way it does it. It's quite slimline. So with the laser rangefinder one, they've now dropped that to £499. So and this is at 650. I know this is a new product and it's 4K, but doesn't do a better job. So it does a similar job. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying it doesn't do a better job than, say, the 312 Zulus, which was aimed at the airgun market and the rimfire market. Even though I've proved you can use it on almost anything, because I had it on the 270 and everything. Never had a problem with it. So that says to me then, this is limited. This is a limited scope for limited individuals. And other scopes on the market, I'm not just saying from D&T, but other products on the market are rated for a lot more and give a very similar kind of. And then people are saying about the weight. Well, the Zulus isn't heavy, that's for sure. It's a little bit heavier than this. There's still comments in regards to, I'm still hearing different weights. Some reviewers are saying it's 425 grams. Other reviewers are saying it's 475 grams. The others are saying 450 grams. I haven't weighed it. I don't know. It's between 425 and 475 grams. And it's light. Don't get me wrong. It's really light. That is a nice thing about it. But it has got its problems, and where it sits, like all scopes have their problems. Where it sits in the market is actually on the cusp of that entry level that people are expecting right now. Where it sits on the market in regards to entry level scope, this is asking for a higher level price, not necessarily giving you everything that you need or what you can get with other products. That's simple as that. That is the full honest part of this scope. And I think manufacturers are falling into that problem where they're racing against each other and starting to forget about the actual people they are using, they are building the scopes for. And we need to start filtering that crap out. Honestly, as a consumer, we need to start filling that crap out. Now, this is one of the reasons why I've actually enjoyed working with D&T. And this is, actually, my tea's getting cold. And this is why, when I talk about this scope, this is the 4K ZTK4 or 4K ZT4K or something. This is going to be new concept for the Zulus. Now, I was already speaking to someone this morning about this. When I do a review on this scope, I can't do the review on this scope as it being a finished product, because this is a prototype. So I'm going to have to talk about the process of the information that I'm going to give to D&T about this scope. And I'm going to do that via the video, so you guys, not this video, but I'll do it in my next video. And I am going to turn around and say what I like and what I dislike about the current scope. But I already know with communication from D&T that they're already trying to fix this scope. They're already thinking about little tweaks here and stuff and positioning of things and the layout of the scope and the technology within the scope. However, what they aren't changing is the image, because that's the one thing that they haven't got a problem with, apparently. Well, I don't know, because I've only looked at it at shows. I've not actually, at the shows that I've been to where I've been on the D&T stand, I haven't. Many of you guys who did come up will probably say that I didn't emphasize much time on this scope because it is a prototype. And I'm only the third person to get it into the field. Phil, Airgun Marksman, he's had it at his range and he's been testing it in different scenarios, and I think he really rates it. And I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to let Phil love it to bits, but I'm not going to get Phil to influence my opinion on it, because I'm going to have different tests. But I'm really going to be looking at the image and what I would like to see on this scope as a finished product. Russ, another one, he's done an article in Airgun magazine. I think he's trying to do a full review on this. Albeit I haven't read the the article, and I will do. I'll get round to reading it. I don't read a lot of airgun stuff because obviously I'm not an airgun guy, but I do try and keep my head on the market inside of this. And I'll read it and I'll have my opinion on it, I'm sure. But I don't think you could do a full review on this as a finished product. So I will be doing this as a prototype. And that's where, to finalise this video, that I have to come down to the fact where I'm thinking, where do these guys get their information to pull out products like this? Essentially, the likes of HIKmicro are marketing companies. They develop a product, they do a little bit of research and development, and then they fire it out to people and they go, what do you think? And I'm going to be honest, and it really pisses me off, this actually. I'm going to be honest. They fire it out and they turn around and say, what do you think? And you get a lot of reviewers out there that go, oh, no, that's great, that's amazing, that's great. I think, well, if you do this and you do that, that'd be great, that'd be awesome. And they get so excited about the scope being here, and I get excited. I get excited about a new product. Many times I've been disappointed over that new product. Tell me about it. And they just want to kiss ass. They really do. They just want to kiss ass because it's another free scope or whatever. I'm sending this back, and to be fair, if there wasn't other things on the market or other things available to me, I would purchase this scope. I know exactly what to expect from this scope. If I had a particular rabbit problem and I needed a specific scope and my other scopes weren't available, and knowing this product, I would go, right, okay, 650 quid, at least I can budget 650 quid. I'll go and do this for the rimfire and then I'll sell it on. I'm not going to get my 650 quid back, but if it's a particular project or contract or something like that, you might want to say, right, 650 quid's and enough to kind of write off for to get the job done. And this will get the job done efficiently and effectively with the right IR setup and everything. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. And at 650 quid compared to 5 years ago, when one of these scopes were probably around, well, you know, the technology was a lot worse, and you would pay £1,200 or £1,300 for it. So genuinely, in that sense, I could see these quotes falling off the shelves or flying off the shelves, as they say. It's honesty is a big part, and I'm going to be honest about this. I'm going to be honest about this, and if the manufacturers don't like it, well, tough. And that's one of the reasons why I like working with DNT, because at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm speaking to one of their guys, we want your honest opinion because we're developing a product for a hunter. We're not developing a product as a marketing tool. Yes, we want to sell it, obviously. Or yes, we've got manufacturer costs and staffing costs and stuff like that. And yeah, we've got, the climate's not very good to us right now. However, we want your honest opinion because our owner, our designer, wants to make sure that he has got the best product on the market for the guys that are out there. And DNT are trying. They are trying so bloody hard to do that without influencing what we say about it. You know. Anyway, I'm going to stick this on, this rifle. I'm going to go and play with it. And I'm going to stick this on another rifle and go play with it. I'll tell you what I like and I dislike. I'm going to do a prototype review. It's a prototype. This is not a finished product. So this is not what you purchase. This is not what you're going to buy. There's no price for it yet. You can't buy it. In fact, I'll probably take my mounts off and send it on to another person that is designated to after me. There's already been 2 reviews out on it. I'm going to do a slightly different review. Anyway, I know it's been long-winded. Thank you all for your support over the last few months. It's been great to get the channel back and going. I'm hoping I'm getting more and more products for review. Actually, I've got a Boots review coming up. Mindle are relaunching. So I have a pair of boots that I've acquired, and they want me to do a full honest review on it because they felt over the last few years they fell by the wayside. And as everybody knows, I'm flipping hard on boots. So I'm going to review a nice pair of boots. So that'll be interesting. I haven't done a boot review in a while, so that will be interesting. So let's see if Mindle can get their act together, because I really went off them. And they're hoping that they've got their act together as well with this new boot. So anyway, I'm going to love yous. Stay safe. Speak soon. And hopefully we'll have something new for you. Cheers.